Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Ready Speaker. I am your host, Roland Narucci. Thanks for joining me. I'm doing another film review. This is 2023. I don't know when you're watching this video. Hopefully you're watching it for decades to come. But since it's Oscar month right now, I'm going to go through the Oscar nominations of films from 2022. And the first film that we're looking at today, actually the only film I'm reviewing today, is Everything Everywhere All at Once. It is the directors are Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. They are also the writers. Now let's go through the cast real quick. Actually, let's see. It's an 8.0 IMDb rating. That's what I'm looking at over here. And let's see who are the cast here. Michelle Yeoh is Evelyn Wang. Stephanie Su is Joy Wang. Jamie Lee Curtis is Deirdre Beaubedrier. I don't know. I can never do the French. I can't do a lot of last names, French last names, especially her for some reason. We have Kei Hui Kwan as Wayman Wang, James Hong as Gong, and Tally Metal as Becky Sregor. I think that's how you pronounce it. It will be actually Slavic, so it's spelled Sregegor, and usually an SR is Slavic for Sregor. I don't know, but it's probably Sregor. All right. So let's get on with this. This movie has been nominated for a bunch of awards. I think Golden Globes and SAG Awards, and now it's going for the Oscars. So it's really been talked about a lot. It's an interesting film. The duration, I don't know the duration here on here. It's 2 hours and change, if I remember correctly. And I'll be playing the trailer somewhere around here throughout this thing. So it's kind of interesting. It's visually very appealing. I've had a lot of friends who have spoken very highly of it. As an overview, there's two parts to it. Well, actually, there's three parts. There is, and that's actually the interesting thing about the title, because there's an everything part, which sort of describes the element of the main character, and that's Evelyn, and then she's. And then there's the everywhere thing. So the, I guess, summary is that someone is just unhappy with their life, Evelyn character, and there is a way for parallel universes and characters, that those individuals that are connected to those parallel universes, to make a leap in between and connect, and she can see sort of what's happening in the universe. I don't want to give too much here, but she has a daughter who's unhappy with her. She's unhappy with her husband. Her husband feels lost. They have a grandfather who's sort of overbearing, and not overbearing, but too stuck in traditional ways. I don't want to say overbearing. He's not overbearing, but he's stuck in traditional ways, and it's hard for her to deal with her father and sort of get the support and the feedback she needs as a person to be healthy. And I think that's the crux of it, is acceptance from parents. I think that's one of the major themes in the whole film, is how accepted you are. And that's a problem she has with her own daughter, Joy, of accepting her daughter who's in a relationship with another woman, and she's okay with that, I guess. It's just how she accepts it is something that's interesting to play with, and those sort of ideas. It's sort of a mashup. I know people think of it as being, overwhelming and such an original idea, but it's actually, I think, a sort of concept-wise, it's a mashup between Scott Pilgrim, The Matrix, and Jet Li's One. I think that's what it is. I think Jet Li, The One. Let me see. Hold on a second. Li, The One. I think that's where it came out. That's also where there are parallel universes. The One. Yeah, that's what it was. And it's a big big martial arts fights in this. So it's kind of interesting. The first part, I'll be honest with you, the first part, the everything chapter, and that's where we're getting the whole world, laid out, of the rules of this world, and it's the development of those rules as discovered by Evelyn, as well as the audience member. So she is the audience at that point, and all the things that are happening are being explained to her, and her sort of guiding through that point is how we travel along with it too. And then we get to everywhere. I kind of like that more because I felt there was more character development there, even though everything should have had probably the most character development. Everywhere, to me, that chapter had a lot of character development, and I sort of felt more connected with a lot of the characters. Now, I know she's Evelyn character is really looked at as the lead. Michelle Yeoh is the big lead here. A lot of press about her. She's done a lot of stuff. I mean, she was in one of the Star Trek series. She's in so many things. She's everywhere, and good for her. Good for her that she's doing a lot of stuff here. And I mean, she's in so many things. Jesus. She is in a lot of stuff. So she's Crazy Rich Asians. Everyone talks about Crouching Tiger. That was probably her breakout in the U.S. You have, the Mummy. There's animated stuff. There's video games. There's Memoirs of a Geisha from 2005. Crouching Tiger was 2003. It was 2000. Sorry. No, the video game came out in 2003. The movie came out in 2000. There's a lot of stuff here, and her list is huge. The only thing with that, for me at least, is that I don't know if she's the strongest actor in this film. I think they got an award for best ensemble. I think. I know I keep saying that, but I'm pretty sure they got an award for best ensemble. The ensemble is pretty rock solid. I think the choreography is great. I think the character development and the emotion those actors are showing is really played well, and I think it sort of overshadows the Evelyn character. I mentioned this recently with one of the movies. Actually, I was revisiting the movie with some friends, Unforgiven, and there's Gene Hackman's in it. And Gene Hackman is an actor, and there's a few actors that can do this comfortably. And Meryl Streep does this. There's a lot of actors that can do this. Not a lot, but there's some actors that can do this comfortably. Is that you can tell by looking at their eyes that there's a thought process existing and happening, going through the story, and they're in that moment whenever it's filled, and it feels real. It feels like the tempo and the rhythm of living that life is real. I didn't feel that a lot. I think she has some problems with her physicality, how she's running, how she's acting, because she actually is a martial artist. She's trained, and I think she's tried to downplay that aggressive stance she might normally have, and to make it a little bit more loose and a little more playful. Somebody who's never worked out, but she's a hard worker. And in the story of the Owner Laundromat, she's the one who keeps the family together. She's always on her feet. She's doing things. So I think there should have been more intent in how she was walking, how she was acting, and her physicality for that. And I think the light in her eyes should have been turned on, maybe at different points. Not sure. It just doesn't read as well as the other performers. Jamie Lee Curtis does a really good job here. And this is what I enjoy the most about the ensemble cast, is that it's very theatrical. I know that maybe that doesn't sound right for a film, and it's comparing apples to oranges, but in theater you can play multiple characters and you can switch on a dime, because everything's already there. You're at your conclusion, and I think like some films, I've been making that point recently, that the films are an arc. You have a character arc, you have a story arc. Things really go towards a direction, and it's a trip. It's a trip you sort of follow. Whereas in a play, you're already, you're at the conclusion of that trip. You're at that conclusion of that rainstorm. You walk in the door and you're lost or whatever, and you enter that home, and that's where everything happens. And at that moment, everything happens. You can look at Arsenic and Old Lace. You can look at Streetcar Named Desire. There's a lot of stuff that happens beforehand that's discussed and sort of implied, but once you get in there, you're at the conclusion. You know that story will conclude. However it ends, it will conclude. Films have lost sort of that element in them, because people are always looking for a sequel. They're looking for a continuation. They're looking for a series. They've gotten more to like a TV environment where you want the story to keep going. So just very long episodes in a sense. Marvel Universe is really just a long episodes of a TV show. When you really think about it, it's just they're contained, but there's a sequence involved. It's a serial essentially, and so it plays out differently than theater. So these characters, Jamie Lee Curtis, Stephanie Hsu, Ke-Huy Quan, James Hong, really are transforming. They're actually playing multiple characters within the parallel universes, impacting Evelyn's experience and where she's going. And they do an admirable job of just changing their physicality, changing their appearance, changing their word structure even. It's just, even the delivery, the weight of the words. Forget about the word structure. How they're delivering the words differently with the weight of what they're saying. Now, Evelyn is the same character, pulling influences from the parallel universes. So I kind of give her a slide on not changing that much. It just, I mean, it's very Matrix, where, you know, hey, the world, the concept of what the world is just blown apart, and I mean, it's probably, you know, fantasy fiction that's come up with this thing forever of parallel universes, and I think we've all sort of read something about that, and it dates back for a long time. It's another thing I like about the film too. It's an Asian, pretty much an Asian cast. I mean, those are the main players in it, and they play with Chinese through the whole thing. So it's sprinkled around like an immigrant, which is a great comment on someone coming to America and being part of the society, but always feeling, even though they've been here a while, always feeling like you're a little out of it, always feeling like you're a little off and not fitting, and using that the language you originally learned, and sort of just mixing it and matching it whenever, I guess, the right intent is supported by the language you're using. And it's kind of interesting. I enjoy that a lot. I know there's a lot of subtitles and all that stuff, but not subtitles, but yeah, subtitles, I guess. And the translation's right on the screen, so it has to play through that. And I really, really enjoyed that. I really thought it added a level of empathy and character to the discussion that couldn't have been brought if it was just English or just Chinese. I think with this story of people trying to find themselves and characters wanting to find themselves and be appreciated and see how they fit, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff to unpack with that. You could probably watch this 3 or 4 times and find new things. I think once you get past the first chapter, which is about an hour and change, I think an hour and 30 minutes, and then you go into the last. So it's nice, you know. It's sort of like, you know, it pulls you in. You do get drawn into the film. Is it the most unique thing? I don't know if it is. Script writing, I think it's solid. I think it's a solid script. I think it's a solid script. I think it's the delivery is great. I think some of the humor can be really, really good and cute. I think the emotional impact of this film is pretty spot on. I think the emotional story, you're being pulled along with this film, I think is really, really good. And again, I think that the cast, the ensemble, as an ensemble cast, I think is pretty amazing. I think they're pretty locked in. Joy, the daughter, just shows a lot of levels of pain and suffering and angst and feelings of abandonment maybe, and feelings of unacceptance and trying to find her way. Wei Ming Wang, the husband, his pitch of his voice changes. He plays a dramatic part. He plays a silly part. He plays, you know, an action star in it. James Hong is, you know, he's been in Hollywood forever. You've seen him in everything, and he's just really an interesting character that could bring a lot of weight, you know, just with an expression. Jamie Lee Curtis having fun, I think, with this character. I think she really, really, really had fun with it, and it showed in some of the work she's doing, and just enjoyable to see her doing something like this, where again, to me, it looked like she had really a lot of fun. And Michelle Yeoh, you know, she's as Evelyn. I think it's how. Yo, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Michelle. I don't mean to butcher your name. I think you did a great job. I think you have great lines in your face. You're an interesting character to watch. I just think some things, and that's just my opinion. It means actually nothing. So you're winning awards left and right, and you're doing a bang up job. So there's nothing for, you know, me to critique you really on that would change your path of success. And it's a huge path of success. You're in everything, and it's great to see that kind of work going out there constantly. The ensemble, as a theatrical point of view, as something that really can pull you along at the end and makes you think a little bit. Job well done. You know, kudos to the writers / directors of coming out with an idea that had a beginning, middle, and end, and they are, you know, and then all at once is just everything all at once. And so it has like this really interesting concept of beginning, middle, and end that plays out, and they just took it to a story that worked. So give it a watch. I definitely watched. I know it's, you know, nominated for a bunch of stuff, winning a bunch of stuff, great work for all the actors, great work for the directors and the writers. I think it says something that we don't normally see. There is some sexual content in it, so just be aware of that. It's just people are watching it, but it's definitely an adult film, and it deals with adult topics of people going through adult problems, and maybe it manifests itself in a very over the top martial arts fighting scenes and everything. But you can see even the peripheral characters, how they're thinking about where they are, and there's really good moments like that, and I think it's a good message actually. So it's a film with a message, and you rarely see that anymore, and it's not too hidden, and it's not too much over your head. But there are moments when you're like, well, I feel kind of sad, and maybe it's a good thing I feel sad about this, and that's the intent. So give it a watch. Absolutely, give it a watch. I think it's really colorful. It's shot well. Oh, that is actually one other thing too. I find that the people who really like this movie the most are camera people. It's a great DP film. Some of the action sequences and the lighting and the camera work are just really, really nice. The makeup, I think, is really good. Costume design is solid. Good sound design. So all the technical elements, it's a very well done technical film as well. And I think that's what people really enjoy about it, who are, say, more in the industry or close to the industry, or just love the industry and filmmaking. And I think a lot of people like the technical success of this film. I don't know the budget of this thing. What is the budget? Let me see. I know I keep jumping around here. Let's see. Budget. Let me see. I don't know where the budget is. Where do you find the budget? I don't know where to look at these things half the time. I'm just going to do this really quick, and that's the last thing. And let's see. And this will be the budget was 14 to 25 million. I don't know what that means. A24 Studio released it, and they're great. They're actually really, really good. But the budget says 14 to 25. I guess that's an estimate, but still 25 million for this is pretty. I would say damn cheap. I would say damn cheap. That is. I thought it would be a lot more than that, and that's the estimate is 14 to 25 million. It's on Wiki, so I'm not sure. But yeah, languages are Mandarin and Cantonese, so it's a mix even of those. Running time 139 minutes, which I think is great, and wow, they made 107 million from it. So 4x profit at least. Good film, really, really good film. I think for the budget, the value of this film, that what you got for that investment, huge film. It's a huge film in that sense, and I know that's weird, but I like to look at that. So yeah, if you like The Matrix, if you like Scott Pilgrim, if you like Jet Li's The One, this plays a little bit on that. So it's familiar, yet different enough to stand on its own. So I think it's a good way to look at it. Familiar, yet good enough to stand on its own. And I think it's a world-class cast and some world-class technical aspects to it. So that's it. All the best. This is Roland Rucci signing off from Ready Speaker. Please like, subscribe, follow me. Why don't you come on the show sometime? If somebody wants to do it, I'd love to have a guest on here and just talk about a movie, and we'll